Hey everyone, just wanted to give you a quick heads up. The second Global Product Owner Summit is coming soon. You can get all the details at bit.ly/Product Owner 2024. That's bit.ly/Product Owner 2024. And it's all lowercase, all one word. Oh, and stick with us until the end of the episode to know the dates and the tracks that we have for you in this year's summit. But for now, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Team Tuesday this week with Lynn Runnels-Moss. Hey, Lynn, welcome back.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
So, Lynn, on Tuesdays, we talk about teams, of course, and how sometimes they create their own problems. But before we dive into that, share with us, what's one book that most influenced you in your career as a Scrum Master?
So this was probably the easiest question that you sent to me. Years and years ago, very early in my Scrum Master journey, I went to an Agile coaching exchange meetup. I used to go to this pretty regularly. And one time I went, there was the inimitable Bob Marshall doing a presentation on Nonviolent Communication, the book by Marshall Rosenberg. What Marshall Rosenberg created in that book creates like this fascinating, crystal clear path to this effective, non-confrontational communication. And it's just revolutionary in its simplicity and its effectiveness. I've told people any number of times that book has transformed pretty much every relationship in my life, not just the ones at work. The tool is simple. I used to have a little Post-it on my computer screen of the method to do it. And I kept that Post-it for years, even after I stopped using it. I didn't have to use it anymore because I kind of integrated it into the way that I thought. So I really think that if you're going to read any single book as a beginning or kind of mid-career Scrum Master, Nonviolent Communication is the one to go to.
Absolutely. Is there something specific you remember from the book that you would like to highlight for our listeners that may not have read the book before?
Yeah, so the way that you give feedback, it's you're identifying a thing that's happened in a non-confrontational way. So when this happened, so going back to kind of yesterday's example, when I was confronted by that dev about Scrum Ban, then you kind of talk about what it felt like. I felt surprised and shocked. And the next part of nonviolent communication is you ask for something. And what's great about that is you're asking for something, but it's not a demand, it's a request. So the request that I made of that dev when we had the conflict over Scrum Ban is, can you come to me sooner privately so that we can talk about this? Now, what's beautiful about that is it gives you the opportunity to negotiate. So maybe they didn't feel comfortable. And this is what came out of that conversation. They didn't feel comfortable coming to me privately, coming to me on their own. So that's why they didn't do that. But then we began a conversation that led us to a better way to communicate with each other in the future. So the example that I use when I teach this to people, and I often do training on nonviolent communication with teams that I work with, the example I give is back when my husband first started working from home. Every day I would come home from the office and there would be dishes stacked by the sink from his breakfast and his lunch. We lived in a London flat, so we didn't have a lot of room in the kitchen, which meant that in order for me to prepare dinner, I had to first clean up all those dishes. And what really galled me is it was literally on the counter above the dishwasher.
So close yet so far.
Yes. So it would have been really easy to just go, why do you always do this? Why do you always do this? And obviously what that's going to engender is an argument, because when you confront someone in that way, they instantly become defensive. So here's what I tried. when you leave your dishes by the sink, I feel annoyed because I'm tired after a long day and I have to clean up your dishes in order to cook dinner. Can you please wash your dishes during the day before I get home? And the answer was no. But then I got the explanation, which was that while he was working from home at that time, which was pre-COVID, he didn't have any time between meetings. He was going from meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting.
Back to
and
back.
he literally had like 5 minutes to eat. So he didn't have time to like even put them in the dishwasher. So the agreement that we got to was that I would come home, he would stop work when I got home, go and clear the dishes, and then together we would cook dinner. But we had to have that conversation, and the nonviolent communication gave us the opportunity to have that conversation.
Absolutely. A great story. Now, of course, NVC or nonviolent communication can help us working with teams, but sometimes they get into their own troubles. And that's the story we would like to explore next, Lynn. So share with us a story of a team. Give us a little bit of the context and then walk us through how those small little behaviors or techniques or things that they were doing eventually led to bigger problems for that team.
So I've been really lucky. I worked with some fantastic teams over the years. And there's all kinds of problems you run into with teams, but the hardest one to crack is the team that is high performing, who runs out of ways to get better. It's like they've forgotten what continuous improvement actually means. And the hard part about it is they're not failing. They're delivering. They're high performing. They're doing really well, but they're standing still. You know, they've kind of stopped improving. And as we all know, continuous improvement is key to being really agile and key to kind of keeping up with where the tech is going and keeping up with the Joneses of the corporate world. So when you stop continuously improving, the thing that happens to the team is somebody gets bored. And that's always one of the key members of the team. A key member of the team will just get bored because there's nothing new. They're performing and performing and performing, but there's no new challenge.
This, right? Like it feels like a routine, like the hamster wheel of work, right?
Yeah. And so they're delivering excellent, high quality features. They've got a great relationship. They're doing all the things right, but they're bored. And it's because they're not pushing themselves to that next level of good. And you'll ask them, you'll sit in a retro and say, hey guys, how do we take it to the next level? And they're like, I think we're great. And they absolutely are great, consistently delivering high quality code, but they're bored. And then a key member leaves. And then all of a sudden, they're not great anymore, but they still think they are. So they take this kind of myth they've told about themselves that we're great, we're this team, we're team X, we're fantastic. But little by little, as people leave, they become less. But they still have this self-image of being this high-performing team. People are leaving, people are bored, they're going for other challenges. And what they don't kind of get is that when you're that good, in order to be even greater, you have to push yourself just a little harder. Now, Olympic athletes know this. So there's a story about Simone Biles. So Simone Biles is a Olympic gymnast and has like moves named after her, things that she created and reached the pinnacle of gymnastics. Today, she can't do some of those moves that are actually named after her. She can't do them anymore. And the reason she can't is because she doesn't put in the effort that she did before. Now, if you want to operate at a higher level every day, you have to push yourself every day.
So there's two aspects to that story that are interesting for me. So the first is, of course, the obvious. Why do teams get stuck in that we don't need to get better mentality? And then the second, for you as a Scrum Master and Agile coach, how do you break through that I wouldn't call it resistance because it's more like comfort, right? Like they don't need to move. They are at a, let's call it at a good enough level, right? Like, so first, why do they get stuck there? And then second, what do you do to get them over that obstacle of getting better?
Yeah. Well, to get them past the complacency is really tough work. And the reason is both internal and external. The team is really pushing themselves hard and they're doing great work consistently, which makes the business happy. So the business doesn't want you to mess with something that's working well. So you've got this external pressure of don't break it. But sometimes you have to break it in order to make it better. So when I run into teams like this, what I generally tell kind of the engineering manager or the leadership of that team is you need to break the team a little bit before it breaks itself by people leaving. So how do you break the team? You give them something that's outside their comfort zone code-wise. So instead of them doing the same thing they've been doing, give them something completely new. Give them a different area of the code, or better yet, give them a greenfield project that nobody's ever built before. Give them something completely new that they don't know, that they have no choice but to learn in order to keep them learning. So that's one way to do it, is break the team. Break them by giving them something different.
So, okay, so I get that part, kind of to take the gymnast's metaphor, you have to be trying to do a move that you've never done before, right? Yeah. Something that would get you that extra point for you to win the competition. And in this case, a software team could be either a totally new technology or a totally new area of the code that might even be in shambles and you need to fix it and whatever. But why do teams get stuck there? Like you said that, okay, maybe the business is just quote unquote happy with where the team is and doesn't want to mess with it, right? Don't fix it. If it's not broken, don't fix it. But is that the reason you see as the most common reason why teams get stuck in that we don't need to get better mentality?
I think teams get in that position and we all, when we kind of rest on our laurels, when you do something really well, and then you want to kind of enjoy that success. But sometimes with these high performing teams, they work so hard and they push and they put everything in and they wear themselves out and they're just tired. And they're like, we're doing a really great job. And there's something else. They're humans are going through something in their personal life, or there's change in the organization and they want to kind of keep their team together. So there's any number of reasons teams get in this position. But it is the thorniest problem that I've had with teams, because you have to break them so that they can get better. And they don't want that. They just don't want that.
Well, one of the things that comes to mind, though, hearing your story and trying to picture from my own experience where I've seen teams like that, I've also seen teams like that are really good in the context of the company where they work. And they are really sometimes pushing the boundaries and then getting settled, right? Like just accepting the status quo, because they really haven't seen much different. Right? Like if you're the best team in any organization, you're going to be tempted to think that you don't need to improve. And this is very common. It's it's common for great teams that are really objectively great teams, but they also happen to be the best around, so they don't really have motivation to get better. And it's also the same for mediocre teams who just also happen to be the best around. And for me, one of the things that I always bring with me as a Scrum Master is this idea that, okay, what should we try next? And I don't want them to get better. That's not what I'm trying to get them to think about. But I'm just trying to poke new ideas to see, first of all, who's taking them, right? Because not all team members might want to take them, but some might. And when somebody in the team picks up one of those ideas and starts, doing some research or whatever, it kind of sparks that curiosity and that desire for learning also in the other people around, because it really is a systemic problem, right? Like you said, some team members might leave, but wait a minute, they left. They didn't speak up, they just left. And that's because of peer pressure and not wanting to break the harmony and so on.
Yeah, I do think in some organizations you'll have teams like this that are, as to use your word, mediocre. They're kind of medium performing teams, but because of the context, they're working amongst a bunch of other teams who aren't as high performing, and they do kind of see themselves as the best. But it's all about context, right? So with a team like that, that's when you kind of push and prod, as you say, and give them some examples. Hey, what if you tried this? What if you tried that? Because you want them to see what good looks like, and you want them to see what
or
great
just different,
looks like.
What different looks like, right? Because they can discover what's better by themselves if they get exposed to multiple realities.
Yeah, it's a tough problem. Like I said, I've been really fortunate to work with a lot of really great teams. And the thorniest of the thorny is the really great team and the really great organization that can't conceive of what the next step is.
Yeah.
So
and that's really a challenge for us to find what might be triggers for them to find new challenges, reliably find new challenges.
Yeah, because if you don't find the team a new challenge, then the team members are going to independently look for their own challenges.
Absolutely. And that's a great lesson. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
Hi there, Agile friends. Thank you for sticking around and listening to the details of the Product Owner Summit, this year's global summit dedicated to a critical Scrum role, the product owner role, of course. We'll have some amazing keynotes and 4 tracks filled with first-hand stories and experiences for product owners to learn more about that critical Scrum role. The summit will take place between April 23rd and 25th, so book your calendars. There will be loads of sessions for you to attend. One of the keynotes will be Dave West, the product owner and CEO at Scrum.org, one of the largest Scrum organizations in the world. If you want to know more, check out the details at bit.ly/product owner 2024. That's all one word, all lowercase, bit.ly/product owner 2024. We will also have 4 tracks. The 4 tracks will cover cross-functional product ownership. That's track 1. As Pixar's Ratatouille said, not every idea can be a great idea, but a great idea can come from anywhere. And this quote emphasizes the importance of a product owner being open to all ideas, regardless of the source, and also challenges us to focus on getting good ideas from everywhere and involving the whole team in the product owner role and responsibilities. The second track is Designing Products for Growth, where we explore how to craft products ready for scalable growth, merging practical strategies with innovation. The idea here is to learn to design products for growth, whether it is sales or customer acquisition. The third track is Know Your Users, user-centric approaches for Agile development. In this track, we learn to master user-centric techniques in Agile development, to deeply understand customer needs and transform insights into meaningful UX designs that focus on engagement and satisfaction. This is a track ideal for innovation-focused Agile teams. And the fourth track, one of the most exciting tracks in my opinion, is product development with AI, ideas for product owners. Not only do we discuss about using AI in the products, but also AI for product owners to learn to make a bigger impact with the help of the AI tools that we already have. The Product Owner Summit will also present to you great opportunities to network with your peers. So get your ticket and join our Slack. You can get the ticket and join the Slack at bit.ly/product owner 2024. as always, we have free tickets and also the paid tickets that help to support this podcast. So check them out at bit.ly/product owner 2024. That's all lowercase, all one word, product owner 2024. I'll see you in the summit floor.